Facsimile of both. Maybe. Maybe? Hi, everybody! Hope you had a great weekend. In place of Bo, who I'm envisioning right now is staring into the distance in Montana, much like a transition scene in Yellowstone, arm up on the fence, just a deep, pensive stare to the horizon, while undoubtedly his kids, although not adult kids like in the show, are fighting somewhere, maybe even punches thrown. In place of Bo, you have me today. Hi, my name is Andrew Siciliano. Thanks for being here. And in place of one Nathan Zagura today, I don't know if his golf game is as good. His hair game is definitely better. That would be my partner, not only in the booth, my other partner in the booth. We have many partners in the booth, but my partner on the BPA, the best pod available. He is the Georgie Mirasan to me, Billy Crystal. Jason Gibbs, how the heck are you?
Siciliano, it's a pleasure, number one. Number two, I'm told that I think it's a travel day for the Bishop family. And
got it. Sorry.
So no. They were in Maryland for Lacrosse Madness all weekend, and then had a 6-hour drive home yesterday to turn around and fly to Montana this morning.
Hold on.
At 6
They did the drive back from Maryland. They did the Pennsylvania Turnpike. They did the whole Breezewood thing, and now they have to get on a plane, undoubtedly with a connection, because you're not flying Cleveland to Montana direct.
I'm pretty sure probably Minneapolis. That seems to be the connection of choice.
Gotcha. So they're Delta family. I got it. But they had to drive through Breezewood with kids in the back seat yesterday.
Yeah, that's. I bet that's going real well, and I bet Bo is ready for another vacation without the other members of his family.
So I've never done that drive as an adult with the kids in the back seat. I have been the kid in the back seat for years because I grew up not in Maryland, but down the road in Virginia, and we, meaning me and my brother, would be for years the kids in the back seat going from the D.C. area to Cleveland, going through Breezewood, getting stuck on how many ever blocks of chain restaurant hell that was. But as kids, all those restaurants were great. And then eventually ending up in Northeast Ohio, but those were the days. Either way, hope everyone had a fantastic weekend. Bo and Nathan are back, I don't know when, sometime soon. But today, you get me and you get Gibbe. And, there is no good football news today.
There's nothing going on.
There is nothing going on in the football world because this is the time of the calendar in which everybody goes away. Now, we could discuss Shedeur Sanders and what happened with the speeding tickets. We can do that because I know CBD was not on last week. We can and we will discuss the Browns secondary coming up in this fabulous 2-hour radio program. We'll talk to Browns cornerback coach Brandon Lynch. That's an interview we did about 10 days ago when Browns mandatory minicamp was wrapping up. We'll say, hey, do they actually have the safeties in the room that they need in the room? And we'll look at the corner depth as well. Huge seasons coming up for both Greg Newsome and MJ Emerson as they both are basically in their contract years, their walk years, and what do they do as the Browns defense tries to get back to the number one defense we saw back in 2023. But if you're looking for some huge NFL headline today, I don't know that we have it. We have tight end U, the thing that George Kittle got together a couple of years ago, meeting in Nashville tomorrow. ESPN and NFL Live will be there. Laura Rutledge and Dan Orlovsky and that whole crew, if you want to watch on the TV tomorrow. No Browns tight ends, by the way, at least initially announced, at tight end U. Do I care? No, I don't. We'll do that later. But let's get to what went down this weekend, which is, by the way, Game 7 of the NBA Finals. Full disclosure, I'm not rooting for anybody. I was not one of these people, and it's different with the Browns, but I am not one of these people that will, I'm not different. I'm different with both the Browns and the Guardians. I guess for the Cavs, I'm not one of these people that had to root against the Pacers because they knocked the Cavs out. But I get it if that's what you are. I totally get it. But there's a difference between rooting against the Pacers and feeling comfortable in your heart and in your gut as a sports fan as to how this went down. If Indiana had been able to pull this off last night at a Game 7, and if you're just waking up and you, I don't know, went on a bender over the weekend and you didn't see what happened, Oklahoma City won.
I did go
7.
on a bender, and I still.
You did?
Yeah.
A Gary bender. Not a Gary bender, but just a bender.
I was golfing in Niagara Falls for 3 days. 90 holes in 3 days, buddy.
I'm sorry.
So, and I still know what went on last night. So
should I have done
know.
the how the heck was your weekend portion of the show before we get to the sports?
We got time. I'm just saying, I even know what's going on. And I made it through the game and watched my first NBA Finals game from start to finish this year.
This year, but not ever, obviously.
Correct.
Okay. Would you have watched it? Did you only watch because it was Game 7?
Yep.
And were you rooting against Indiana?
Jake Trotter will kill me, but congratulations to the whole Trotter family. They're from Oklahoma City, and I know that they're excited and ecstatic.
I heard Goldhammer say that.
Yep. I was rooting for Indiana. I just think it's such a big basketball state. Their arena in Indianapolis is great. Their fans are really good. Scrappy team. I mean, they got the best of us, and my thought was, well, if they win, then I feel a little more validated we lost to the champions.
Okay, see, I'm not that kind of fan. Like, for example, last year, I was rooting hard against the Yankees. To heck with the Yankees. They knocked the Guardians out. Was there for games 3, 4, and 5 at Progressive Field, and the sight of Juan Soto hitting that homer in Game 6, or Game 5, beg your pardon, is still... It is a lasting scar in my psyche, so I was rooting against the Yankees, and I always will. To this day, I root against the Denver Broncos, full disclosure, although I'm not... I've grown up. I'm an adult. I'm a man. I'm 50, as Mike Gundy once said. But, the Broncos ruined my childhood, 86, 87, and 89. I once told John Elway that he couldn't care less, and Rich Karlis still missed the damn kick, okay? So I will always have that in my heart.
I wanted to fight John Elway.
I mean, would I fight John Elway?
I wanted to fight him. Like the first time we went to Denver, and I ended up in a hallway one-on-one, and I was like, I can take this douche.
Dude! Come on. Do you have to call him that?
I call him Horseface, actually.
Okay. I've never had an issue with him personally. It's not his fault that Rich Karlis' missed field goal was ruled good, right? But,
doesn't mean I have to like him.
Field goal. It's the greatest missed field goal to ever send a team to a Super Bowl. Of all the missed field goals that have ever sent a team to a Super Bowl, that is one of them. I digress. I was not one of the people that was rooting against Indiana. Go down their long basketball history of what ifs. I mean, what if Jordan wasn't there? What if the Heat weren't there? What if Paul George hadn't gotten hurt? Or Oladipo hadn't gotten hurt? There's a long list of what ifs for the Indiana Pacers. What if Tyrese Halliburton hadn't gotten hurt? Would they have won the game? I don't know, but I was there for it. We're all there for it. You buckle up on a Sunday on a Game 7, you get a good meal going, you open a beer, and you say, this is why we love sports, and we didn't get that last night.
No, yeah. I was very sad. I wanted something down the wire.
It was a gut punch. And listen, I know there are people that don't like him because he did the choking sign more than a few times after hitting big shots in the postseason. I totally get that. I know there are people that don't like him because they don't like the way his dad popped off. I totally get that. He's not his father, all right? Gibby, you're not your father. Anyone listening in the car, you're not your father as well. So, cut him some slack on that. But when he went down, and when you understand that this had been an issue. For those who only tuned in for Game 7 and see the guy tear his Achilles and go, oh, it happens, bad luck. No. There had been signs, obviously. He only played 23 minutes in Game 5. He wasn't much of a factor in Game 6. TJ McConnell had to take over Game 6, right? This had been building. This had been a legitimate injury concern. He went out there for Game 7. Okay, we saw Donovan Mitchell deal with a calf injury during the postseason as well. They're real. They're legit. We've seen Kevin Durant blow a calf. We've seen Jason Tatum blow a calf. We've seen Damian Lillard blow a calf this year as well. It happens. We obviously saw it for Deshaun Watson last year in Week 7 for the Browns at Huntington Bank Field. So you never know when it's going to happen. It comes out of nowhere. If any of you are in your 30s or 40s, be careful when you're out there on the pickup.
That's right.
Yeah. I mean, men of our age, it happens. It just happens, whether you're an elite skinny-legged athlete like Tyrese Halliburton, whether you're the guy at the gym or the guy playing pickleball or the guy playing tennis. Every time I play tennis, I tell my buddy, hey, hit it right to me because I ain't chasing that ball to the corner. Are you kidding me? Right? I'm not doing the sudden start and stop and the left and the right and the lateral movement. I'm not. But Tyrese Halliburton went out there for a Game 7, and he played because, of course, he played. Imagine if he had not played. But he got hurt. And we and he, not we, it's not about us, it's about them. They, the Indiana Pacers, were robbed of a chance to win that championship. Now, to their credit, T.J. McConnell battled. The rest of that team battled. They actually had a lead heading into the half. But SGA is an MVP for a reason. The Oklahoma City Thunder had the 5th best regular season win total in NBA history for a reason. And they're the better team. And they pulled away. And they're a great team. Now, please, enough of the screaming head shows talking about legacy and like, I turned on the TV this morning. I'm not calling out names, but they were having the, is this putting SGA in the Hall of Fame already conversation? Please stop it. Why? And the NBA is far, far, far worse than the other sports with this. Anything happens in the NBA, we have to go to the legacy conversation. Why can't we enjoy a team in the moment for what it is? And that is an MVP leading his team in a Game 7 to a championship. Both can be true. Oklahoma City's a great champion. SGA deserves the praise, okay? As does the rest of that roster, as does Sam Presti for building that roster. And it was heartbreaking to see what happened to Tyrese Halliburton, and I would have loved to have seen Indiana win and Halliburton wheeled back out there to hold up the Larry O'Brien. That would have been one of those awesome, no matter what you think about the guys or the team or the city or anything in Indiana, that would have been one of those, man, it hits my heart right here, great sports moments. Both can be true, all right? You could praise Oklahoma City, and you could say, man, I feel for Halliburton and that team, because this isn't just a we lose Game 7 injury. This is a what do we do next year injury.
Yeah, exactly. How about this? 3 NBA stars in the postseason. Lillard,
Yeah.
Tatum, Halliburton. All wear 0, all torn Achilles.
Oh, wow. I hadn't thought of the number thing.
How about
Jersey
that?
thing. But all 3 of those teams obviously have to look towards the next year already.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Like, how does this affect next season? Same thing with the Browns. Obviously, when Deshaun Watson re-injured the Achilles in December, regardless of what you think the quarterback depth chart should have been or whether the team should have been looking to move on, it doesn't matter. When the injury happens in December, when the injury happens here in the NBA, in the postseason, you immediately say, all right, what does this mean for next year? And for these guys in the NBA, it knocks them out at least half of the year, at least at a minimum. And then you have to wonder aloud when they do come back, how quickly, and maybe quickly is the wrong way to say it, how long does it take? And it's not going to be a short runway. It's a long runway to get back to the game-changing form that all 3 of those players once had. Game 7s are awesome. Gibby, I have been very fortunate to go to 2 Game 7s, NBA Game 7s. I was there when the Lakers and Kobe beat the Celtics in the Game 7 in, what was that, 11? I think it was 10. In 10 here in L.A. And very fortunate to go to, who did San Antonio beat in like 05? Oh my goodness, this is me live Googling. Spurs,
It's okay.
Game 7, 2005. They beat the Pistons in Game 7 in San Antonio. I was there for that as well. Game not nearly as close as the Lakers-Celtics.
How'd you end up at that one? How did you end up there for Game 7? Were you working?
It was the summer. Nothing was going on. I had friends in San Antonio in the radio world. I was at Fox Sports Radio back then, and their headquarters, well, the big corporate behemoth headquarters were in San Antonio. I had friends there, and somebody texted and said, "Hey, you want to get on a plane?" I'm like, "For what?" "Game 7. Got a ticket for you." I'm like, "All right." All this,
Wow.
That was back in the day when I was doing arena football every week. And back in the day where Southwest didn't have the point system, you just, once you had 8 flights, you got a free flight. And so I had 5 free Southwest tickets from doing all these arena football games, going to Phoenix and Vegas and San Jose and Austin and Denver, and I was Mr. Southwest back then. And I'm like, all right. You would just go to the airport and go, "Hey, here's my Southwest card. I have 5 free tickets. Can
It's
you
like
put
a punch
me on
card.
Yep, can you put me on the 12:05 to San Antonio, please?" Yeah. Went to the game. It was awesome.
That's amazing.
Anyway, we were denied the Game 7 last night. We, Indiana. But I am not one of these teams, or rather one of these fans that is rooting against. I guess maybe it just speaks to my Cavs fandom. Don't get me wrong. I like the Cavs. I love the Cavs. The Browns and the Guardians, I lose sleep. I'm sorry, anyone listening to the Cavs building. It's not personal. I root for the Cavs. I guess the emotional connection and the kick in the gut was not the same for me when it came time to rooting against the team.
But we talked about this when you were in town for minicamp week. We talked about this. Your dad wasn't, you grew up a Cleveland fan because of your father and your grandparents.
Correct.
But, the Cavs were a distant third on that list. It just
right.
happened.
I break things in my house and have over the years, and I have actual scars on my right hand right here. The 0-2 Browns team, when Foch Fazio, may rest in peace, called off the Dogs against Tommy Maddox in the postseason. Dennis Northcutt still could have won it, but I digress. Yep. And I punched a wall. Actually, it was a door in my apartment in L.A., and, I still have a scar in my hand. Same with the Guards, or the Tribe, whatever you want to call them. I still have deep and dark scars that I will not ever get over from their postseason past. What if Tony Fernandez didn't boot that ball in Game 7 of the 9th inning in Miami? Yeah, we are all that fan. My dad, when he was a kid growing up, East Side, Little Italy, Murray Hill, Cathedral Latin, John Carroll, the Cavs weren't there yet. My dad's 80. The Cavs were not a thing. And he was never an NBA fan. So as kids, we never had the NBA on. Now, when Mark Price and Brad Daugherty and Ron Harper, when those teams got good, Hot Rod Williams, when those teams got good, my brother and I, became big fans.
80s Cavs.
But those 80s Cavs teams, obviously, Craig Threelo, all those teams, but my dad didn't care. And, he'd be sitting on the porch, right, smoking a cigar on a Sunday afternoon. My brother and I would be watching a playoff game. It just never felt the same. So my screaming, yelling fandom was truly never the same. Now, in 2016 when the Cavs won Game 7, I was on top of a table in a bar in Lima, Peru, of all places.
Congratulations on all your successes.
Thank you. No, I was I had just come down out of the Cordillera Blanca doing a huge hike and found the only bar in Lima, Peru, in the Miraflores neighborhood that evidently had Sunday Ticket, and they also had some kind of hacked boxes from Miami, and we had on local Miami ABC, and the entire bar was obviously watching Game 7. When I got there, there were no seats left there, literally in the entire bar, other than this one table, rando strangers, right? One table that had a chair. And I walked up and hey, can I steal this chair? Turns out these guys were from Cleveland. I was like, hey, all right. We made instant friends, watched Game 7, Cavs won, closed the bar, shots for everybody. I missed my flight the next morning. I celebrated. Don't get me wrong. Because obviously it was a weight lifted off everybody in town. Yes. But when the Browns win, when the Guards win, and it will happen, before I turned my dad's age, it will happen. That celebration for me will be a little bit more emotional. That celebration in 16 was amazing, all right? And my dad was happy. It's not as if he doesn't root for the Cavs. He does. But when they lose, he goes to bed.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
No, yeah. No. I get it. I understand. It sucks that we weren't playing in that game last night.
Yes, it does.
It is what it is. Had an amazing year and came up way too short.
And that's in no way me trying to downplay the disappointment of the great year the Cavs had. In no way. Right? This could have and should have been their year. All the pieces were in pieces at the end of the season. It all fell apart, and yeah, it was disheartening. Now, when you hear the Cavs' name thrown around in the Kevin Durant postscript yesterday, that's an eyebrow raiser. For who, for what, as Ricky Waters would say? What would that trade have been? I don't know. It didn't happen. Kevin Durant is now going to the Houston Rockets. For Cavs fans that say we coulda, shoulda had Durant, I'm going to tell you, he's going to be 37, and he has an expiring contract. Okay? He's going to be 37 before the season begins. You really want a 37-year-old guy on an expiring contract? I don't. Okay? I'm not saying he's a bad guy. He isn't. There's a reason he's going to his fifth team. Okay? I don't want Kevin Durant. If you did, that's fine. I don't blame you. And I know that you might be one of these Cavs fans that say something had to change. Like, okay, great season, it all fell apart. You have to mix it up somehow. That's fine. I just don't think Kevin Durant was the move. I don't. I get why Phoenix moved on. I get why Durant wanted out. But I don't think from a Cavs perspective that was the move. Houston gives up Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, the 10th overall pick, and 5 second-round picks.
What does that even mean? What second-round picks actually mean in the NBA?
I mean, look, NBA trades.
It's like taking a flyer on me and being like, hey, maybe he'll develop in 5 years.
Look, plenty of second-round picks have turned out okay, but 95% of them do not. And, yeah, what are they worth? Second-round picks in the NFL are worth something. 5 second-round picks in the NFL, that's a haul. Now,
yes.
In the NFL, you can only trade 3 drafts out. So if you were to trade 5 second-round picks, that would mean you had multiple second-round picks in this year and next. You can't do that trade in the NFL. They don't allow you to do that trade. But I just want to say this, and I did this on Twitter as well and the TikTok and everything last night. For all of these people that were yelling and screaming, well, not yelling and screaming, let me back up. For everyone that looked at that trade yesterday and go, 5 second-round picks, they're just throw-ins, they mean nothing. Like, who cares about these 5 second-round picks? I'm with you. But you're the same people that were furious when Bronny got taken by the Lakers with the 55th overall pick last year. How dare you waste a second-round pick on that guy? I mean, stop it. You just don't like LeBron, right? You can't be outraged about the 55th overall pick last year being LeBron James Jr., and at the same time tell me, these 5 second-round picks for Kevin Durant are just meaningless throw-ins. You can't have it both ways, friends. Just face it, you didn't like LeBron, and you wanted to be outraged, right? And Cavs fans, Lakers fans, I'm in LA today.
If the Lakers want to take LeBron's kid, fine. I don't care what they do.
I don't care.
Second-round pick.
The guy's done enough for the league.
I just think, and I don't know what Bronny's career is going to evolve into. Who knows? They took him in the second round. I don't know either. This is what I know. Kevin Durant averaged 26.6 points a game, 6 rebounds, 4.2 assists. Pretty good numbers at his age. He played 62 games this year. Played 75 last year. In the 5 years prior, 35, 55, 39, 8. That's actually 4 years. Public school math. Sorry.
And again, he's going to be 37 before the new season begins.
What are you getting? We know what he can do when he's healthy, but he's on the back end of the career.
He's on the back 9, and you're getting a first ballot Hall of Famer.
And I think there's always drama with him. I don't think he's ever happy or content.
He's never happy or content, and he hangs on social media all day.
Yeah,
sometimes with a burner, telling people that he's not happy or content.
almost got into a fight with Kevin Durant in a pregame interview at the Q.
You did?
Yep.
Why?
Maybe that's why I have some venom for him.
I don't have any personal animus towards him. Final thought on Kevin Durant. I don't know if you guys saw the video. So the Fanatics Fest, the big Michael Rubin thing,
great idea
in New York, Javits Center, like giant card show, and all these big names are there making appearances. I have friends who took their kids there. Said amazing event. Kevin Durant was on stage yesterday with Taylor Rooks, friend of the program from Amazon. Just doing what we call a chalk talk, a bunch of people there listening, interview on stage, that kind of thing, live pod, whatever. And everyone who has their phones out, just taping segments anyway, or taping stuff, just because that's what we do. Everyone started seeing on their phones that the trade had gone down, that he was going to the Houston Rockets. And people start yelling, and they're holding their phones up. So you see all these videos from in the crowd of everyone holding their phone up, and you hear people yelling, "You got traded!" at Kevin Durant. And he's hearing it, and he actually yells back, "Where? What?" He didn't know. Now, he knew that the Rockets were one of the possibilities. He didn't know. Taylor Rooks is up there. Imagine yourself, Gibby, in the host position. What do I do? Because now people are yelling, "To the Rockets!" at Kevin Durant. And he's kind of smiling. He's holding a mic, but he also has this stunned look on his face, and he goes, is this real? And then everyone's yelling at the Rockets, and Taylor Rooks, she didn't look at her phone, but clearly this is what happened. You couldn't have all these people making this up.
Correct.
And Durant was like, well, okay. We'll see what happens. And then Taylor now has to pivot, ask his reaction. He says, we'll see what happens. And then she's got to finish their stage time with whatever else she had planned. And as a host, you go, okay, do I go down this path? It's not confirmed. Do I let this guy let it sink in? And then I don't know if you ever watched the show, the Charlie Booker show on the show Black Mirror on Netflix.
Have not seen it.
Okay. It's about 10 years old now. There's been 5 seasons. It is the most head-messing, I'll say that cleanly, mess with your head dystopian technology, Twilight Zone-esque show. It's brilliant television. It was a scene out of Black Mirror. It's we're on stage or we're in a zoo and all the people are there yelling at you, holding the phone to see how you react. It was wild. It was 2025 technology, dystopian. We're all animals to be poked and prodded. I can't imagine being in that situation.
Yeah.
Anyway, that said,
you paid. He's booked. There's probably been a lot of money thrown at him to make this appearance.
Of course,
you can't just let him leave in a moment where he probably needs a few minutes to let it comprehend it. You got to be no, you're going to stay here. We're going to talk through a few more things.
We're going to talk through a few more things here as well coming up. Should you care about Shedeur Sanders and the speeding tickets? I think the answer is yes, but also what friend of the program Daniel Jeremiah had to say about who he thinks will be the Browns starting quarterback week 1 at Huntington Bank Field against the Bengals. That is coming up, and it's a Monday. That's Jason Gibbs. I'm Andrew Siciliano. Cleveland Browns Daily is presented by Bally Bet, an official sports betting partner of the Cleveland Browns. No Bo.
You guys are up.
No Nathan today. In their place, beg your pardon, it's hi, Andrew Siciliano and Jason Gibbs, everybody, on CBD. Let's do the Brown stuff here, and well, not like it's going to be the only time we do it here. We got Brandon
that's right,
Lynch
because
coming up,
we'll eventually end up with someone who tweets at us and is like, "Are you guys going to talk football today?"
Oh yeah, let's do it.
Hey,
okay?
reminder, it's June
off-season,
23rd, buddy.
Yeah, there is no off-season, but like this is the week in which there kind of is an off-season. Yeah. And last week should have been the same as well, but we had the news, obviously, with 5 teams not named the Browns still going through their final week of the off-season program, that Shedeur Sanders had been picked up twice in the last couple of weeks for speeding, including one, the last one, going 101 miles per hour on 71. There are a couple of parts of good news here. If you want to spin it, good news, maybe not good news. Good news is nobody got hurt, okay? That's the most important thing. That's not an excuse. It's a, hey, thank God nobody got hurt. We can all agree on that. Number 2, there's no alcohol involved, right? There's no impairment. This was just a kid who was speeding. I want to make something very clear. I am not apologizing for nor excusing the behavior. 101 miles an hour is dangerous. It's dangerous. It's poor judgment. It is not putting the team first in a window in which all players from every team, including the Browns, have been warned, whether it's by Kevin Stefanski or the 31 other head coaches, don't do anything stupid. Not all coaches put it that way, but that's basically the message. And this has been universal for rookies, for vets, since the dawn of time during this window when teams go away for vacation. Don't do anything stupid. Don't put the team in jeopardy, but most importantly, don't put yourself or your family in jeopardy, or don't put the people in your community around you in jeopardy. Don't do anything stupid. From that standpoint, it is disheartening, but thank God nobody got hurt. That said, raise your hand here if you haven't been pulled over for speeding. Now, if you're driving, please don't take your hands off the wheel.
Brock says he's never been pulled over for speeding.
Brock is, what, 21?
Yeah, he just turned 21.
Okay.
I had already had
Number
probably
1,
3.
happy birthday. Number 1, happy birthday. Number 2, you should not aspire to be pulled over for speeding. When I was 21, I had not yet been pulled over for speeding. I'd been in multiple cars where the driver had been pulled over, but I had not been pulled over. Since then, I have been pulled over multiple times for speeding. I'm not proud of it, okay? But I've done it. Young people like to drive cars fast. Old people do as well. It's not an excuse. Now, what is disheartening here, to me at least, is that there was a second incident, right? One should knock a little bit of common sense into you. The second one, that to me is bad judgment. Truly, that's bad judgment. And that's inexcusable. Am I going to kill the kid for it? No. Am I going to say he should be benched or he should lose reps, whatever reps he does have? No. Should there be internal team discipline? No, I don't think that's the case. This is a speeding ticket, right? Multiple speeding tickets. I bet you listening, if you have teenage kids, there's a chance that a certain percentage of our audience right now with teenage kids, those kids have had multiple traffic infractions, multiple speeding tickets, and you probably yelled and screamed at them, okay? Don't do this again. And they did. Now, is Shedeur Sanders a kid? No. He's young, though. I use the kid, I throw the word kid around loosely, right? But he should know better. Yes. Does this say to me he doesn't have the judgment or the leadership or the maturity to win the job and lead? No, it doesn't. Anyone who is taking a couple of speeding tickets and for the sake of engagement or clicks or for the sake of spending time and filling air, and there's a lot of air to fill these days, especially in the off season, on hot take shows, saying that this somehow reflects on his football future or his football judgment, they're full of it. And they're lying to you because they probably don't believe it, okay? And they're just filling time. They're just filling time. It doesn't change who starts week 1. It has no role. Unless now Kevin Stefanski comes out and said, yeah, this is inexcusable, and he's not going to get the reps that I was going to give him come training camp. And that isn't going to happen. It just isn't.
Yeah. I mean, I've gotten a couple speeding tickets. I'm not speed racer.
What's the fastest you've ever gone with a speeding ticket?
That's a good question. I feel like probably I think I got the last time I got pulled over, and it's knock on something, plywood or whatever this thing is right here. Maybe 75 and a 60.
Oh wow! Look at you. Look at you.
Yeah, but I was on the highway. It was early morning. I'm trying to get somewhere. There was no one on the road, and I was.
Oh no! I'm saying, look at you getting pulled over for not going that fast.
Yeah, I wasn't doing. I don't
You
think
shouldn't
I've
be
ever
pulled
done.
over for 75.
Well, state trooper, end of the month.
Yeah, no,
we'll
I
leave
get
it at
that. Listen, I have gone 101 miles an hour.
Yeah,
I didn't get pulled over. I'm admitting I'm not saying I was right to do it, but I'll tell you where I was. I was in the middle of the desert on a stretch of highway, the 15 freeway, between Las Vegas and the Arizona-Utah border. If anyone's ever been on that stretch, they have massive signs that say last services for like 40 miles. So like if you need gas, if you need water, if you need food, like you better get off right here because the next stretch of highway is as desolate as it gets. And I had a fast car that I loved. I had an M3.
nice.
And I opened that baby up.
Just
right?
just to see what it would do.
That is the stretch of highway where you do that. And I got it into triple digits, and I didn't pass anybody. You know why? Because there was nobody anywhere near me at all. The only thing I would be hitting is an armadillo. Going 101 on 71 is a lot different. We're both wrong, okay, but that's not the place you do it, even if it's in the middle of the night, because there are going to be people on the road. They are. Speaking of the talking head shows, we have Mike Tannenbaum, all right, former Jets GM. He was on NFL Live last week. Here's what he had to say.
As the head coach or the quarterback, you're the most important employee of a $6 billion enterprise, and how you handle things on and off the field matter. And Mark Schlereth used to say, Greeny, preseason games, they don't count, but they matter, and how you comport yourself off the field matters. And to have this happen twice would be a concern. It's not the end of the road, but let me bring you into what typically happens at the end of this time of year. You set your roster and your initial sort of reps for training camp. And if they're sitting there in Cleveland, Greeny, and they're saying Dylan Gabriel is a third-round pick, he's done well, Shedeur Sanders has done well on the field, but he's had these two issues off the field, albeit minor, they'll give more reps to Dylan Gabriel. Remember, every general manager has one formula on their board. Production equals tolerance. And as Graz mentioned, he's a fifth-round pick. He has not produced yet.
All right.
I like
don't
Mike.
think Mike Tannenbaum is lying to you, although I did say that before. I just don't know that this is going to change things. I just don't think it will.
Correct. It's
Maybe
not.
I'm wrong. Like, you get a stern talking to. I assume he did after the first one. So, yeah, it's concerning that there is a second. But, you know what, guys? When we get to training camp the third week of July, I don't think that this matters. It will be a talking point. You know, when Kevin has his introductory media availability to open up camp, it will be a talking point, and there will be more than just one question. And he will say that he's disappointed and that he's talked to Shedeur, and then that's it. And that's not a comment on Kevin's media skills. Quite the opposite. I just think that's how they view it. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to do anything that's going to reflect poorly upon you or your organization.
Which this does. More on you than the organization.
Correct. I don't think – I don't even know how much it does. But the problem is the position you play and what you do on this football team. Every little thing right now is being scrutinized up and down by the local media, by the national media, by everyone. Because going into training camp, the Browns are going to be a very popular topic of conversation around the NFL. We're going to camp with four quarterbacks. Like, you don't want to do something that paints you in a negative way, in any way, shape, or form.
The first time Shedeur, with cameras rolling, whether live on NFL Network or back together Saturday on ABC and ESPN. I don't even know. Is that a thing this year?
Oh, yeah.
I think it is.
Oh, yeah, that's happening.
But live coverage on the partners as well. I don't know.
Great question.
That first full Saturday of training camp when everyone is on the field, when all teams are mandated. It's the 26th of July where all teams have to be on the field. Speaking as someone that used to work for the network, that was an idea that they came up with like 3-4 years ago where we're going to go live with all 32 teams at one point during the day and basically an 18-hour marathon. If at one point Shedeur Sanders throws a touchdown in that live portion on television, it's all forgotten. It's all forgotten by the national media, and that highlight will be shown on a loop 1,000 times. Just like the touchdown to Gage Lardivan. Okay?
Look at you still pulling that name out. Yeah. Still working on that name because you're going to call it come training camp and preseason football.
Are you kidding me? Him and Flourier are going to get how many touchdowns in the preseason?
The over-under, like 6.5. We'll put it there.
Look, just buckle up, friends, because wherever you're listening to this show, you right now have an opinion as to who should and will, and they might be very different, should and will start week 1. Okay? You are going to be bombarded all day, every day, once camp opens, with people trying to convince you to change your mind. I just preach caution. We have 3 days to join practices, Carolina and Philadelphia. We have 3 legitimately meaningful preseason games. For all of you last year who got angry, this team's not showing anything in the preseason. This team isn't tough enough in the preseason. We're doing nothing. Like, it's not going to be that way this year. All right? Now, you can argue with whether or not we should have QB trackers every day and how meaningful are those. Give me a couple of drinks and I'll go off on that if you want. Okay? But don't tell me they're not meaningful preseason games. They'll be meaningful. I guarantee you that. We could argue what they mean.
I may or may not have been the OG quarterback tracker for one John Paul football. That's right. So I look forward to that conversation when you're back in town for training camp.
Okay.
I only did 7 on 7 and 11 on 11 in pads. Was the ball caught? Was it not caught? I didn't go through and try to figure out. It was only in training camp. It wasn't in anything else.
Listen.
It could be a bad route.
As Deuce Staley said 10 days ago when asked about, he was asked about Quinshon. Who has looked good, by the way, as has Dylan Sampson.
Yes.
About, drawing conclusions in minicamp. He said, and I'm paraphrasing, we're wearing pajamas right now.
That's right.
Call me when we're wearing armor. And the same applies to the quarterbacks, guys and gals. Anyone listening? All right, coming up, what Daniel Jeremiah had to say about the Browns day 1, week 1, quarterback starter, and coming up as well, we'll talk to Browns cornerback coach, Brandon Lynch, Jason Gibbs, Andrew Siciliano, Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Ballybet, an official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Add more fun to your fan
You're up.
Sportsbook app. Download today and get $50 in bonus bets when you place your first wager of $10 or more. Ballybet, an official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Jason Gibbs, Andrew Siciliano sitting in for Nathan Zagur and Bo Bridges. Did I just say Bo Bridges? Bo Bishop.
That's
Has
fantastic.
anyone ever done that before?
No.
Bo Bridges? Bo Bishop. I know Bo.
I like
Bo's
it.
a friend. Yeah. I know his last
Maybe
name.
not after today, but
I just called him Bo Bridges. Bo Bishop, who are back shortly. I don't know when, but they're back one of these days. You get me and Gibby today. Let's go back to last week. Friend of the program, Daniel Jeremiah, with whom I was speaking this morning, was on another friend of the program show. That was Rich Eisen on the appropriately named Rich Eisen show. And Rich threw out the, hey, DJ, who starts week 1 for the Browns? His answer was interesting.
Training camp to start, DJ.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Flacco probably has his spot reserved, and then it's going to be 3 for 2. So you get those 3 young guys competing for the 2 spots, and I would say, based off of Gabriel where he was picked, based off of the ability, and I go back to, it seems like a million years ago in Green Bay, but I mean, Shedeur was my 20th player. He's a first-round caliber player. Like talent-wise, both those guys, I think, have a huge advantage over Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett has to be light years better than each of them to make the team. So I would say, if you're going to ask me to kind of predict how it's going to go down, I would say you're going to have those 2 rookies and Joe Flacco. Kenny Pickett's going to have to be Superman to make the roster. And then when you look at it from that standpoint, to me, I think Joe Flacco is just in case they don't feel like they can be competent at the position, then you insert Joe. I think their week 1 starter is going to be, I think it's going to be one of those 2 rookies. I really feel that way.
Really? So you think Flacco will just wind up being a veteran presence in the quarterback room for your starter, Dylan Brooks or Shedeur Sanders? DJ?
Yeah, I think.
Pardon me?
Yeah, you get
Gabriel?
those 2 young guys. I think you have to learn this year. They made that trade, so they've got some ammunition for next year. And I'm just starting to peek at some of these quarterbacks. I'll have a better feel for what that could look like here over the next month. But at next year at this time, they have to know what they have in those 2 rookies. They have to see them. They got to get one of them. And that's why, to me, I don't think you waste time. It's not, okay, let's let Joe Flacco, let these guys get comfortable, and then we can kind of maybe see who wins it between those 2 guys, and we insert them in week 8, week 10. You have to evaluate these 2 kids that you just drafted so that next year at this time, before the draft, before this next draft, you have some clarity of what you have on campus.
Any concerns of Shedeur going 41 miles per hour above the 60-mile-an-hour speed limit recently?
Obviously it's not great. I just feel like we've seen more of this. I don't know if it's obviously he's in a different situation, but these college kids now have Rich. If you look at it, and I know people have talked about Georgia and their program and all the speeding issues they've had there. These kids now, a lot of them. I mean, and as someone who has 4 kids, you have kids. Like a lot of these kids drive later now. It's not like when we were growing up, you turn 16, you get your license. Like people drive later, and then all of a sudden now these kids with NIL are getting these souped up cars that are so fast, and it's like it's not a great combination. Now he's in a different situation, with Dion and having a chance to have a nicer car and do all those things. And I don't think that we have mature drivers, and I think it goes beyond just Shedeur. It's not a great look, but it feels like we're seeing a lot more of that now with athletes than we've ever seen.
All right, a couple of things I disagree with. I do agree with DJ that the car thing is what the car thing is.
Yep.
Speeding already did that. I also agree with DJ that Gibby, you need to know what you have in the rookie quarterbacks by the end of the season, one way or the other. That you can't draft 2 rookie quarterbacks and put both of them on the shelf for the entire year. Now, look, there is a world in which, let's say Joe Flacco starts week 1, okay, and he beats the Browns. I'm sorry, beats the Bengals. And by the way,
I'm in.
now,
I sign up for that.
Right now, if you told me Joe Flacco starting week 1, I will tell you we're going to beat the Bengals. I firmly believe that in my heart of hearts right now. You throw them out there, going to beat the Bengals. Does that mean one of the other 3 can't do the same? Yeah, I think that could happen as well. But Give me Joe Flacco. Yeah. Now, how long is that going to last? Right? And look at Indianapolis last year. There were some great Joe Flacco moments, and there were moments, okay. Right? Yeah. Is that sustainable for an entire 17-week season? I would love to see a world. I mean, that would be a fairy tale in which it happens. In that world, however, you don't get to see the rookies. Now, where I kind of disagree with DJ, and I told him that this morning, is this idea that, like, Kenny Pickett, and kind of paraphrasing, has a hard time making the roster. I don't see that. I don't. But it is fair to ask, can you legitimately keep 4? Now, right now, if you read the Jory Epstein piece in Yahoo 2 weeks ago, and Andrew Berry said, yeah, we can keep 4. Absolutely keep 4. Yeah, that world does exist. Some of that is also, hey, we're not going to announce right now we can't keep 4. That does us no good, right? Somebody has to win this job. If no one does, then Joe Flacco is your quarterback. That's just the way it is. But to say that, well, someone's going to get traded, well, that means one of the other 3 has to play enough, and I don't know that one of the rookies is going to get traded. That doesn't make sense to me.
Not if
it doesn't.
You use draft capital to move up in the 5th round to take Shedeur. Like, you're not getting rid of the guys that you drafted this year.
No, but everyone says, well, trade Kenny Pickett. Okay, for who, for what? There has to be an injury somewhere, and he has to play well enough in the preseason for somebody to want him. But that goes with any player, okay? It goes with any player. Yeah, but this idea that Kenny Pickett I disagree with DJ on that, is going to have a hard time making the team. I don't know that I agree with that. By the way, it is a special Mailbag Monday edition of Browns Daily here. Time to ask me anything. Hi, I'm Andrew. You can send your questions in at Browns Daily, at Browns_Daily on the X, on the Twitter, or you can do it on the YouTube stream as well, which I do not have up, and I am not looking at because, I mean, God knows some of the comments sometimes on any YouTube stream. But you throw those in there, and Brock and Gibbe are looking at them right now. Also coming up later, what Deontay Johnson had to say about who he thinks will be the starting quarterback for the Browns. That may raise some eyebrows. And we're going to talk to Brandon Lynch, as mentioned, Browns cornerback coach. It is Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Ballybet, an official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. All right, let's do it, everybody.
You're up.
Jason Gibbs in today on CBD, in for Nathan and Bo, who are back at I don't know, not just work here. Points unknown. They'll be back at some time.
I
They'll be back before training
think
camp.
there is a good chance there will be a Zagura sighting tomorrow with you on the program.
Oh no!
There,
Oh yes. That's what I meant.
I believe.
No. I meant oh yes. Oh no, oh no, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're working through it. He was like, I'm in. And then we've got some stuff going on inside the building that he may have to go address and deal with first.
Oh, that sounds...
No. This is a good thing.
Okay.
Quick scores, maybe some new podcast things that are going to be coming out. And the timing was originally before the show, and then it's now during the first hour of the show.
I don't want to take him away from any Luca duties.
Oh, no. Like,
or he wants to step away.
Yeah, the 2 weeks of
Luka
paternity
duties
leave
for
are
an hour or
officially
two.
over. Luca duties for him are overnights, and I want to say in the evenings. I think that's when he is doing his part. At least that's what it was for the first week. I don't know if things have changed since then. But he was the one getting up at night.
With that said, flattered to be here. Happy to be here.
I'm happy
in
to
his
have you
place,
here.
Or in Bo's place. I am happy to be here. Happy that you are here as well on a weekend or after a weekend in which we saw the Oklahoma City Thunder win Game 7 of the NBA Finals last night and take a championship, 7 different champions in 7 different years now in the NBA. The headline was Tyrese Halliburton going down first half, torn Achilles, which is now confirmed by Shams and the team, I believe, at least by Shams. We saw it, and they showed the replay 55 times too many last night. It was a torn Achilles. It is heartbreaking. It is gutting, even if you're rooting against Indiana, even if you didn't like Tyrese Halliburton doing the choke sign multiple times during the postseason after his multiple awe-dropping or awe-inspiring, jaw-dropping, game-winning shots. Even if you didn't like his old man, I think he's good for the game. He's good for the sport. He seems to be a good dude. I don't know him.
I think he's a great player.
End like that. Yeah, he's a great player. His interview with Charles Barkley and Inside the NBA Crew on TNT 2 weeks ago was fantastic. I really love the guy. I think he's good for the sport, and to know that he, like Damian Lillard or like Jason Tatum, regardless of what you think of those guys, suffer these injuries late in the year in the postseason, and they're gone for a lot of next year. You lose more than a Game 7. To be a Pacer fan today, listen, we as Browns fans, as Cleveland fans, Guards, Cavs, whatever, Buckeyes, we have had these you're so close, punch in the gut moments, way too many to count. There's a reason I have gray hair. Way too many to count. But to get to the Game 7 and not only lose, but to realize that the face of your franchise is now out a lot of next year. All right, you lost the championship. Bad. Really bad. Like, you're going to have nightmares about it for years. But face of the franchise is also out all of next year. Like, I cannot begin to imagine what it feels like to be a Pacer fan today. Cavs lost. I get it. Cavs had a great season. We all thought this was their year. Not diminishing, or trying to downplay that hurt. But imagine getting to Game 7, and then the face of your franchise gets hurt. Oh, by the way, and also you're leading at halftime.
Well, and the Achilles is the new ACL. Like when we were growing up, if you had an ACL injury or needed Tommy John surgery, like you might not be the same player ever again. Like I feel like the Achilles is that way. With modern medicine, I don't think it's as grim a diagnosis, but there is a significant recovery in Achilles. And not everybody comes back fully from it.
No, you can come back, but are you the same? I don't know. I don't think so. And
Depends.
look, you can come back now faster than ever. Aaron Rodgers could have played in December of 2023. Now, would he have been immobile? Yeah. Would they have needed to basically – remember when Dave Grohl, lead singer Foo Fighters, when he broke his leg and they just put him on stage in a giant throne?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Right? They might have had to have done that with Aaron Rodgers in December, right? Just put him in shotgun, put him in a throne back there, and he's going to get the ball out in 2.2 seconds every time. But he could have potentially come back to play. Cam Akers in the Rams Super Bowl season tore his Achilles. He's not an aging quarterback. He's a young running back. Wasn't even 25 yet. Tore his Achilles 10 to 12 days before the start of training camp, doing a box jump, working out on his own. It was already into July. It wasn't like June. It wasn't now. It was into July. Training camp within sight. Tore his Achilles. He came back and played in the playoffs and won a ring. Do that math. It can be done. But he wasn't the same.
Sure.
But he gutted it out and he helped them win a title. So it can be done. Tyrese Halliburton is young. His age begins with a 2. He can come back. He will come back. Same for Jason Tatum. He can and will come back. But are you the same? And how long does it take you, if you are the same, to get there?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what Indiana is staring in the face right now. Also over the weekend, guards won 2 out of 3 in Oakland. Emmanuel Clase, it was dicey yesterday. He got out of it, much like he got out of the jam last week in San Francisco to take 2 out of 3 in that one. There are a lot of what-ifs on this Guardians road trip. What if they had held that lead and gotten the sweep in San Francisco? 3 in San Francisco, 2 in Sacramento, 5 out of 6 after the just gut punch, horribly disheartening sweep in Seattle. In no way does one blown lead in San Francisco on a Thursday afternoon in that matinee in any way change the way I look at their long-term outlook this year. But it would feel a lot different coming back and getting the day off before the Blue Jays come to town. Look, they've got to prove they could beat good teams. They have to prove that they could hit, and right now they're not. They're just not.
Speaking of the hitting and not hitting, our sister flagship station here in town, 92.3.
I heard this.
Jim Bowden?
Yeah, go ahead. Lay it out there.
Mentioned the possibility of the Gardos trading for and getting back Josh Naylor at the deadline.
Your thoughts?
I don't know. Are you a contender right now?
Look, if the season were to end right now, I got to see how the rest of the games played out.
I mean, wild card, they're totally in play.
They're in play. I'm saying if it truly were to, well, if it were to end right now, it would be a headline. If it were to end right now, they are tied with the Mariners for the final wild card spot. They're both 39 and 37, same number of games. ESPN.com has the M's in front of them. That doesn't make sense to me because I think head-to-head the M's have the edge, especially after that sweep. Regardless, they are right there. They're either in or they lose a tiebreaker or it's a one-game playoff, whatever the heck they do. Is Josh Naylor. Remember, you got rid of Josh Naylor because you wanted to let Kyle Manzardo play. And he got out of the gate great, Manzardo did, hitting bombs and taking Paul Skeens into the river in Pittsburgh and doing all of that. But his average isn't there. He's not hitting righties. And, yeah, I don't think we're at the point where you send Kyle Manzardo down. I don't think we're at that point. But remember, last year, he came up and couldn't make hard contact. All right? He was a left-handed Jonathan Rodriguez. They sent him down. He came back late in the year, and he was raking. He had the home run in the ALCS in, what was that, Game 3? Game 3. He was killing the ball, and he picked that up in April. I'm not seeing that now. Carlos Santana had a great May. June a little bit different. So if you bring back Josh Naylor, I would say A, for who, for what. The Slade Ciccone thing's working. He pitched well yesterday. Yeah, he still gives up the home run ball. Didn't yesterday. That looks like another one of those, hey, you know what? We, the pitching factory, can take your guy that you haven't managed well, and we can turn him into something. That looks okay on this end of it.
Is that the guy we watched when we were down there?
Yeah, you and I went to the game during 2 weeks ago. When we were there when I was there for mandatory minicamp. We went to the Tuesday game, and that was Slade Ciccone did pitch that
he
day.
He pitched great. We couldn't score.
Against the Reds.
Yeah.
He pitched well, and that was the game that was over in like 2 hours and 4 minutes, and they
Correct.
2-hit and lost. Reds made a couple of great plays in the outfield there, robbing Jose Ramirez and others. Yeah, that game was so disheartening. Thanks to Curtis Danberg, by the way, but so disheartening. Because like if David Fry got screwed on that ball 4 in the bottom of the 9th inning, horrible call. Like bring us the robo-umps at that point. They get that ball 4, then you're first and second, nobody out. With it was a 1-0 game, so you got the tying run on second. But whatever, it didn't happen. That was game 2 weeks ago. Am I all for bringing back Josh Naylor? I don't know. I heard a lot of stuff about why they wanted to move on from Josh Naylor after the trade was made, right? Whether it be his weight or whether it be other stuff. Not a bad guy, but just like, hey, we've decided we're going to move on. We're not ready. We're not going to give him a long-term deal. And that isn't like, oh, we're cheap. That isn't like we just don't want to give him a long-term deal. And we've got Manzardo here ahead of him. Great trade for Manzardo. Aaron Zavala just got moved again. So, do you go get him? Like, again, for who, for what?
I think trade deadline's not till the end of July. Let this play out. Let's see where we're at.
Of course you have to let this play out. Remember, flashback, was it 23? Was it? Yeah, flashback to 23 when they got Manzardo, right? When they traded Savale and they traded Josh Bell, right? They made those moves. They were right around here, like where we are now, like right on kind of that edge of the wild card. Like, why'd you give up? Why'd you give up? It was disheartening. I remember I was sitting there at Q39 in Kansas City having some amazing barbecue. About to go to the Royals game that night, Royals Mets, and then I was going to go interview Travis Kelce the next day. Oh, actually, you know what? That was the day before. America does not care about this, but I'm going to connect dots. That was the day before I asked Travis Kelce on camera live on NFL Network about Taylor Swift, and that was the very first time he commented publicly on Taylor Swift. Just what a slice of Americana.
What a newsbreaker you are. A newsmaker.
That was a slice of Americana. Yours truly and Michael Robinson pinned down Travis Kelce on live television about Taylor Swift. Although no one picked it up for like weeks. It didn't go viral, and then people realized it. And then it went viral. Anyway, I digress. That trade was disheartening at the time, but that team wasn't going anywhere. They're right around there now, right? So what do? You got a month to figure out, a month and a half to figure it out. Once again, I've just gone totally off the rails here, and we are supposed to play what Deontay Johnson had to say about who he thinks will be the Browns' opening day quarterback. Do you want to do that next or Brandon Lynch?
We can do Deontay in the next segment, and then we'll play B. Lynch before the end of the show. We'll get to B. Lynch about 2:35.
Okay, let's do that. All right, friends, coming up, what Deontay Johnson has to say after his 1 week at minicamp. Who's going to start this year for the Browns, friends, at quarterback? Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Bally Bet, an official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Hey, if a car, truck, or motorcycle accident caused your injury, call the injury lawyers at 1-800-ELK Ohio for a free case review. Elk & Elk, proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. Jason Gibbs, Andrew Siciliano sitting in for Nathan and Bo in no particular order. By the way, Gibby has put out on the X, on the Twitter, a call to action, as we call it in the business, for your mailbag questions. To yours truly, or to Gibby, or to Brock, or whomever.
J-Max here.
So your mailbag. Say again?
Jordan's here. The
Jordan's
whole crew is here behind the scenes.
All right, the whole crew. Jordan is here as well. Jordan McGrigg, everybody on the ones and twos. And I am simply a guy in a mess of a home office here. Gibby, you normally see,
you have a little reno going on. That's right.
The shelf behind me. The home office from which we do the Bark Tank and from which we do BPA, best spot available. Everything off those shelves right now because we're doing a big.
What's the timetable on the reno?
No, I don't know. It's supposed to start today. Clearly, it has not. Only a couple days. Yeah, here we got the old Tim Couch bobblehead.
Oh, I have that.
Stadium giveaway. Remember
Absolutely.
that one? Yeah, in the stadium.
Yep.
We got the Vin Scully Dodger Stadium talking giveaway at the desk where it's time for Dodger baseball. We also have, and I got two of these, one of my favorite of all time.
Yes.
For those who can't imagine right now, this is the Albert Bell flexing of the right bicep bobblehead pointing to it. Remember this one back in the day? Forever memorializing the was it 8th or 9th? Whatever. The home run off Rick Aguilera to tie the game in Game 1 of the 1995 AL Divisional Series. Remember that one?
Yeah,
Yours truly was there.
Didn't we get busted then for sending Jason Grimsley through the air duct to go get the bat?
Oh, no, that was that year. Okay, so this is after
Okay.
that had happened.
All right.
Wasn't
okay.
it? Yeah. And
I
so
think so.
what had happened was Kevin Kennedy was warned by Theo Epstein or admonished, told. This is at least Kevin Kennedy's side of the story after working with him some years later at Fox. Was told, he was managing the Red Sox, hey, if and when Bell hits his first homer of this season, in this series, you are hereby ordered to take his bat.
Confiscated.
Yeah, confiscate it or ask for it. And they're like, really, you want me to do that? No, you're going to do that. Kevin tells the story. He was ordered to do that by the front office. So Bell hit the homer, crowd goes wild, and then he comes out and asks for the bat, and then Albert steps up to the top step of the dugout, and he points to his right bicep and says, if you could read lips, it's right bleeping here, meaning this is where the cork is. It's right here, my right bicep. And then that became a bobblehead years later, and then about an hour later, Tony Pena in a 3-0 count got the green light and took Zane Smith out to left field over the 19-foot wall with a little bit of mist falling on Cole Nidre at that, just bringing everyone together. And, I got that one. All right, let's get back to the Browns. Shall we?
Sure.
Deontay Johnson was on a podcast. I don't know which podcast this was. It somehow ended up in my Twitter feed this morning. Deontay Johnson, former Steeler, former Panther, former Raven, former Texan, former Raven, now a Brown.
He was on the Comeback podcast hosted by Steven Garcia and another guy that at some point in the podcast, because I watched the whole thing.
Yeah.
At some point, the guy goes, I have family in Cleveland. Oh, yeah, where at? Columbus.
Which is Cleveland, but different. Yeah. Great.
Sure.
Thank you.
Got it.
All right, buddy. Regardless, Deontay Johnson, remember, context here, signed, a month ago, signed right when the calendar turned
to May?
May?
I think it was May.
After the draft.
Yeah.
Turned to May. And then was really only there for the 1 week of mandatory minicamp.
That's
so
right.
Roll it.
I think they're going to roll with Kenny for right now.
So you just had rookie minicamp, right?
Yeah.
You went with them and did all that stuff. Who looked
I've
the
been
best?
seeing Kenny going right now with the ones, and then Joe would come in. I think they're probably going to roll with him just to see just coming off the season he was with Philly.
Right.
And having the Super Bowl. So I think they're going to stick with him through preseason. and then they can live with what Joe brings to the table.
All right, this is going to get a lot of headlines. I don't read much into it for a couple of reasons. Number one, he'd only been there a week. Okay. Number two, he and Kenny obviously were teammates in Pittsburgh, and Deontay
Correct.
Johnson, Gibby, you and I were there when he did his one media session during mandatory minicamp, said that Kenny Pickett was one of the factors, one of the reasons he decided to come to Cleveland. Now, he also conceded the Browns were his only offer. They were the only call. Browns called, he took the job. You need a job, somebody offers you a job, you take the job. But he said that Kenny got on the phone as well. They obviously played together in Pittsburgh, so there's that connection, there is that history. But it also goes with what Nathan and Bo and you and I have been telling people for a while now. The Browns like Kenny Pickett. All right, there's a reason they gave up a 5. I would have liked to have given up one of the 15 6s that they had at that point. Those were traded, obviously, on draft day, days 1 and 3. But they gave up a 5 and DTR for a guy that has 25 career starts. There is value to be had with Kenny Pickett. We can argue whether or not he's going to be an elite starter or even a good starter again, but there is value to be had here. I know you've heard the Sam Darnold, the Daniel Jones. You've heard those comparisons. I get it. I don't know that that's going to happen, but you have the ability to get a guy who has 25 career starts, the 7 fourth-quarter comebacks, all of that, and go, hey, we'll take this gamble. It's the same logic that says, hey, at pick 144, we'll give up. We'll take Shedeur Sanders, even if we probably weren't going to draft him earlier because we passed. It's the same logic here. So I'm not going to read much into this Deontay Johnson comment, but I will say this. I will guarantee, or your money back, I will guarantee that tomorrow, one day removed from talking about Game 7 of the NBA Finals and knowing that there's only so much you could say about Wednesday's draft, Cooper Flagg is going to go number 1, that this will stick in the national talk sphere, and more will be made of those Deontay Johnson comments than really are deserved.
Agree. Again, there are, of the 32 NFL teams, we're one of the top 5 from a hot button standpoint. We will be throughout the entire training camp and preseason. We will be until we name a quarterback. That's just how it's going to go. I mean, it's already set up for that. I mean, Eisen said it last week to Daniel Jeremiah. He's like, there's 5 storylines worth watching. The Browns and 4 quarterbacks are one of those 5.
All right, what are the other 4?
He had something.
The new coaches, the Bears, Caleb Williams, the Jets.
Oh, he
Aaron
was going
Rodgers
off.
in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Certainly. Is Jalen Ramsey going to get traded? What happens with the Dolphins? Those are obvious storylines. The Ravens signed another DB, by the way. Their secondary is going to be ridiculous, so their secondary also always all get hurt.
Dude, they have the best roster in the NFL.
Yeah. Well, look, this is the evergreen time of the football calendar. I did one of my silly walk and talks just because I was bored
I love
a couple
those.
of days ago. Right, but
Evan
I did an
watched.
evergreen one. I ranked the top 5 wide receiver duos in the NFL. I mean, that is silly season stuff, but that is clickbait stuff. Ranked the top 5 wide receiver duos. I put the Eagles as number 1 just to tick people off. You should see the comments. It worked. It totally worked. Had the Bengals 2, had the Cowboys 3, had the Vikings 4, had the Rams 5. Yeah, people lost their mind, especially Lions fans. How dare you put Puka and Devontae Adams ahead of Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jamison Williams? I'm sorry, I just don't see Jamison Williams as consistent enough. And I think Devontae Adams is going to be great. What about the Seahawks? I don't know. Yeah, sure they'll be good. JSN and I think
who's throwing them the ball?
Still play.
Sam Darnold's throwing them the football.
Sam Darnold will throw them the football.
Are we sure Sam Darnold's going to be able to throw them the football? I know he had a great year last year. Is it a fluke? I don't know, but I would tend to go that way.
My headline here from the weekend on Sam Darnold is friend of the program Mike Silver's piece in The Athletic. Basically, long profile on Darnold saying he knows that everything fell apart the last 2 weeks for the Vikings last year. He's hard on himself. He blames himself. He's grateful for the opportunity. He talks about the journey, what he learned in that gap year in San Francisco and the Kyle Shanahan School of Quarterback Rehab and all that. But he also, Mike does, throws in a little nugget that basically suggests that Tom Brady didn't want him in Vegas. Tom Brady has been very hands-off. Oh, no. I had nothing to do with the quarterbacks, right? Hey, why didn't the Raiders take Shedeur? Oh, I don't know. I have nothing to do with that. I can't believe people are making this stuff up. Tom has intimated, it's the media saying whatever they want without repercussions. Well, you've had John Spytek on the record. You've had Pete Carroll on the record into open microphones saying Tom Brady's got to have a big say in our off-season quarterback conversations and analysis. And Tom's like, who the heck said that? Oh, yeah, those guys did. The GM that you helped bring there and the head coach. So Mike Silver's bit, Tom Brady didn't really want Sam Darnold in Vegas. Look, Sam Darnold has kind of a one-year thing going in Seattle. Also,
he had a one-year thing going this past year. Worked out pretty well for him. But
yeah, the Raiders gave Geno a big contract. It's kind of a 2-year thing there. Neither of those situations. And a friendly reminder, middle of March, a lot of these contracts are funny money, okay? There is always a ripcord. Now, very often that ripcord, if you pull it early, comes with a heavy price, but not a price that can't be overcome. Other than the Browns, I don't know that there is another quarterback battle in the NFL. People point to the Saints. If Tyler Shuck doesn't win that job, it would be stunning. If you had faith in Spencer Rattler or Jake Hayner winning the job, you don't take Tyler Shuck in the second round. And at his age, 26? You don't draft him in the second round and then say Spencer Rattler is going to start. You just don't. So I don't buy that the Saints are a legitimate quarterback competition. So if you take that at face value, the Browns are the only quarterback race in the NFL. And they're one with a guy that failed to pick 144 when nobody thought he was going to go at pick 144, with the magic of Joe Flacco, the enigma that is Kenny Pickett, and Dylan Gabriel, who only, and he has detractors, I know, only is the guy that the top line on his resume says no one has thrown more touchdown passes in the history of Division I college football. Nobody. Okay, he played 6 years. Okay, fine. He threw a lot of touchdowns in those 6 years. A lot of them. Coming up, mailbag right around the corner. But next, Browns cornerback coach Brandon Lynch. What does he need from MJ Emerson and Greg Newsome in contract years in September? That's next. Jason Gibbs, Andrew Siciliano. This is Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Ballybet, an official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. All right, Andrew Siciliano.
You're up.
In for Bo and Nathan from the podium, presented by Vivid Seats. Purchase your official fan experience package today for the ultimate game day. This is not necessarily from the podium, but it is a friendly back and forth that I had as mandatory minicamp was wrapping up with Brown's cornerback coach, Brandon Lynch. Hit it. Brandon Lynch, Jason Tarver said it's the last day of school. As we get ready, we're taping this before the final day of mandatory minicamp. But it can't be the last day of school because you have to maintain that energy. You just came to the podium. You are Mr. Energy. Explain to me how you take that energy out here for that final day.
Oh, absolutely. You know, it may be the final day of regular school, but it's about to be a day before summer school. You know, and we know right now, like, summer school as a teacher can be one of the most important things for our students. So making sure that all the T's are crossed, you know, all the I's are dotted, you know, making sure that our guys are moving in the right direction is the most important.
How about you personally? I've never seen you have a bad day. How do you maintain that?
You know, keeping the main thing, you know, and the main thing is about, you know, family, right? Like, this is something that the Lord blessed us to do. Like, we absolutely love to do it.
You got your son here today?
Oh, my goodness. And that's amazing, right? You know, he gets a chance, like, he wants to do this one day. So for him to be around, like, great players, and you know, as a parent, if you can put a young guy in the room and you don't have to say, look at this person, but do what they do, that's extremely rewarding.
You've been in this business long enough, and you've been part of professional sports long enough. The coolest part of this job, if we could do a brief aside here, is bringing your family in and letting them experience what you do day to day, standing here on this field, standing at the field, say at Huntington Bank Field, wherever,
yes, sir.
To like see the look on his face or your family's face. Isn't that what it's all about at this point?
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, we talk about family, also our players and teachers that we're serving, right? So, like, just so that everything comes together, because we talk about being 100% about the team, putting it first, right? That's part of that.
All right, let's get to the PBUs to INTs.
Yes,
Denzel Ward talked about that. Only 4 picks last year. JOK had 1 of them.
Yes.
Secondary had 3 of them. How do you turn PBUs, passes broken up for those who don't know, into INTs? How do you get the turnover machine going again?
Absolutely. Just consistent eye control, consistent foot on the gas, and urgency to finish. I think that when we talk about, like, details, we talk about being urgent to apply our details. And then, you know, having that heart and toughness, fighting through friction, making sure that it's time on task. So with our guys being here, you know, certainly like our leaders, MJ, you know, you've had Denzel here every single day. You've had Cam Mitchell here, Miles Harding here every single day, catching, you know, more footballs on the jug, catching them from the quarterbacks. Those reps on task will show in the grass.
I mean, Denzel said if he had just caught a couple of those, he would have gone from Pro Bowl to All-Pro. I would argue he should have been an All-Pro regardless, but it's not just the personal accolades. Those INTs, you know, you're not playing 70 snaps per game. Defensively, you give the ball back to the offense. They can run the football. Collectively, this unit has to force more turnovers. Has that been an emphasis for the entire defense here in the offseason?
Absolutely, 1,000%. You know, and it all goes back to the team. You know, we want to force errors, and with us forcing errors, us getting tight, staying tight, it allows, one, our engine to get home. And if our engine are home, they're going to force errors. But also, that allows us to be very resilient to the other people on the field, which is our nerve center, our linebackers and our safeties. We always talk about tipping overthrows. You know, we always talk about we're going to get those. We have to. So with us putting the team first and the urgency to execute, we'll see that on the grass.
You're a coach, you're not a contract guy, but you also do know that you have 2 corners in Greg Newsome and Martin Emerson, MJ, who are heading into their final year of their deals. How do you turn that motivation into better play?
Oh, excellent. Excellent question. You know, and really, it starts with being in the moment. Being in the moment. We talk about, like, having an hourglass, right? Like, when you first start, you know, the sand is at the top, everything is good. But as you keep going, time is of the essence. And one of the biggest lies that we tell ourselves is we have enough time. So having the right guys in the room that urgently want to be accountable for the team, it really takes care of itself.
With that in mind, however, you mentioned Cam Mitchell and Miles Harding.
Yes.
How important is this year for the 2 of them to raise their game?
Absolutely. You know, just
Have you seen that so far?
yes, I've seen these young guys accountable. Like I've seen them accountable like from the whole off season. You know, these are guys that are studious. These are guys that do extra reps after practice. They're also, you know, really performing in the weight room, which we know right now when we talk about that hard and toughness, when we talk about like just endurance and precision, these are young guys that we're going to have to count on, and they're showing that they're trustworthy.
All right. Big thing last year was tackling in space.
Yes.
Right? We know how offenses are going to attack this defense. They're going to make you run sideline to sideline. Can you actually drill that? I know it's mandatory minicamp here. Pads aren't on. This is football in shorts, right? That's more of a training camp thing. But can you work on that in the offseason at all?
1,000%.
How do you do that?
Mind, body, spirit, you know, and it first starts with the mind, right? Obviously, like from a fundamental aspect, getting guys closer, making sure that we're stepping on the near foot, making sure that we're executing with leverage. But it all starts with the mindset, you know, not just getting to a spot, but getting to a spot and making a play. But getting to a spot and making a play with a violent intention and playing with edge. That's something that's been a focal point of ours. I'm looking forward to seeing that when it's time.
What do you think of the new the kids would say Cele's, I'm too old. I'll say celebrations. I saw Greg and MJ bust one out, I think, yesterday. Do they run those by you?
You know, I kind of
do you give them notes?
I kind of catch them on it. Now,
Okay.
the note that we are all giving them,
Uh-huh.
hey, we about to bring the handshake back.
Okay.
We about to bring, high fives. We're about to bring the fist bumps. We're about to bring those type celebrations
like
back.
old school.
Old school.
And is that from you?
You know that's from us.
Okay. Is there film breakdown in your meeting room on this?
No, sir, but there will be after summer school.
Okay. So like after today.
After today. Let's get
Okay.
it
So
done.
that's like your go away for the summer gift to them.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Let's put it on tape.
Do we grade them?
Every single thing that we do is competitive. Like literally every single thing that we do is extremely competitive.
Do you have the moves? Can you get in there?
You know what?
I've seen you on the sideline with some, but like if you had to go out there and do it, can you keep up with the guys in your room?
You know what? I tell you what, with the handshakes, absolutely. With the
Okay.
celly, probably not.
Okay, if I asked your son that you can keep up with the dancing, because you heard Joe Flacco yesterday, right?
Absolutely.
About TikTok dances. You're not going to be that guy.
No.
Okay.
Now I'm not a dancer now.
Neither am I.
Yeah.
But you heard Joe. He said, I don't know. Like, why are people dancing on TikTok? Like, you're an adult. Be an adult.
Be an adult.
Okay. This is an adult. Brandon Lynch, enjoy your month off if you even get that.
Yes, sir.
Much time off. Good to see you.
Sir.
You're an adult. Be an adult. Brandon Lynch, as mandatory minicamp, was wrapping up. A couple of things. Obviously, MJ needs to have a better season than he did last year. He kind of never looked right. He's got to play big. He's got to play physical. He's got to be able to turn and run. He's got to be the guy that we saw against Mike Evans a couple of years ago. Right? He's got to be the guy that we saw lock up Jamar Chase a couple of years ago. Him or Denzel, doesn't matter. Denzel had a great year last year. I do think Denzel should have been an All-Pro last year. Huge year for Greg Newsome as well. Huge year for Greg Newsome. I know some people thought he might be traded in the offseason. I think that ship has sailed. Greg Newsome is going to be a Brown, barring something dramatic in training camp. I don't think you're going to see him moved at all. And those guys need to get back to the form that we saw in 2023. But, Gibby, that goes for the entire defense. When people, and, you know, I'm not going to take a shot at Florio, but when, you know, people do their rankings in the offseason, it's clickbait in the offseason. I get it, right? He did one, I believe, this morning, top 32.
Oh, he did.
He can't be the Browns at 32, right? Was it 31 or 32? Yeah,
32.
Yeah, I don't buy that.
Nope.
I don't. Because, and the big reason I don't buy that is because I believe the Browns defense can maybe not get back to number one overall. I think that's a tall task. But they could get close enough to the form that we saw in 2023 where there is no reasonable analysis that can have them as the number 32 team of the NFL. But a lot is on those corners, and a lot is on that pass rush, whether it is Isaiah McGuire, who we spoke to in the last episode of BPA Best Podcast Available, or whether it's Alex Wright, and we see the same guy that we saw in September when I know he was fighting through that injury before they shut it down, or whether it's Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, or
Obo.
whether it's Obo. Listen, Obo's got a cap number. Fingers crossed we get Obo sacking the quarterback. But somebody's got to get to the quarterback because it is not going to be JOK shooting the gap and sliding through the matrix and bringing down the QB. But that defense can take a massive step back towards the form we saw in 23. Coming up next, we might have time for the mailbag. If not, some final thoughts. That is Jason Gibbs. I'm Andrew Siciliano. This is Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, the official sports betting partner of the Cleveland Browns. Time for a mailbag. Oh, here's one. Why can't you actually keep good time and do a show the right way?
I think you did just fine.
Goes to me.
You did great. You did. It's the off season. We can have a little fun. There's a little breathing time. We're not clock watching, except at the end of the show to make sure we're out on time. I can work through everything. How many times could you squat 405 pounds?
Negative, Ghost Rider. I can't do that at all.
Oh, okay. John Harbaugh did it 8 times. Oh, he's on the video right now, watching it. 400 pounds.
I saw Jim Harbaugh.
10.
Harbaugh outside a restaurant in L.A. 2 weeks ago. No one recognized nor stopped him. For Jason Gibbs, I'm Andrew Siciliano. Maybe Nathan tomorrow?
Maybe.
See ya.